Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax. Time for the Inbox Challenge 2, Day 4. Today's numbers were picked by Mike, Bostonian Reggie. And Mike sure picked some numbers. I thought we were friends. I thought I sent you VCLT, man. A double? A dog? Ugh. Anyway, let's go on with it. First up is the best of Ronnie Hawkins. This has been in the inbox for 4 or 5 years. This is why I do this, because this would have been in the inbox when I was dead. I never would have taken this out and played it. My wife would have had to have dealt with it, or my cats. Ronnie Hawkins on roulette. The original first pressing on roulette, original Canadian first pressing, 1A, 1B stampers, the OSGest of them allest. And I got nothing against the record. I'm not a fan of this kind of 50s, 60s rock and roll, that kind of stuff. I'm never drawn to it. It's a little too simple, a little too, I don't know. Bo Diddley, Come Love, Honey Love, High Blood Pressure, Arkansas, Boss Man, Who Do You Love, I Feel Good, Searchin', Mojo Man, Sexy Ways, You Know I Love You. I mean, these are all good songs, and Ronnie Hawkins is a Canadian, or Ronnie Hawkins is or was a Canadian icon. I don't remember. Maybe for some people, best known as a guy who had a band that played behind him that Dylan stole away to be his band when he went electric, who then left Dylan and became the band. So that's where Robbie Robertson and those guys got their start, was back in Ronnie Hawkins. And you know, these old records, this record has got a lot of kind of scuffs and scratches to it, but it doesn't have any sticks, and it doesn't skip anywhere, and it doesn't have any bad scratches that just tick forever, which was why I grabbed this when I saw it, because I knew I should, you know, it's got a bit of value. But that solid old vinyl can just take a beating. And the record, it sounds like an old record, but it's actually listenable. It's crackling, but it's not, you know, this isn't an album that you listen to critically, which is the kind of music that I like to listen to, which is, it's just a rock and roll record. So anyway, that'll be moving on. Next up is Pink Floyd's The Wall. I know, The Wall. I don't know. I don't really need to talk about this record. I'm sure I've done a video where I talked about this record. This is just a copy I picked up in a collection. Standard thing with the labels, and this is got 2HZ Deadwax on all 4 records, denoting that it is, well, it's not a first pressing. First pressings of every Pink Floyd record from, I think it's Animals to the End, and Roger Waters records too, are done at the mastering lab. So they have TML in the Deadwax. If you want to know if you have a first pressing of a Pink Floyd record, you look for TML. If it does not have TML, it's not a first pressing of a Animals or post-Animals Pink Floyd pressing. I'm not quite sure if Animals is the, I think it's the first. If you want to know if your Division Bell is real, for example, the only pressings of those are TML. They only did 1 run of that record. So, or your Pulse, or Amused to Death. You know, even though that was pressed in Holland, it's still cut by Doug Sachs. It's still TML. And he cut plates for everybody, for Canada, for Japan, for Britain, for Germany, for the US, the whole world he cut plates for the first runs of all of the things. And then they would get a safety tape or eventually a CD, and they would cut later ones. So nice clean copy. I'm going to sell it. Sonically, it's nice. It's not Doug Sax, but it's a great listen. Next is a record I listen to all of this because I am a martyr, and I cannot understand why this is Fred's favorite artist and the reason why he moved to Australia. Jack Farnham, Australian teen idol pop star who came back with this record after people thought he was gone, and had a massive hit single with the song You're the Voice, and this became the #1 selling Australian record in Australian history, and still is. And I think this guy might be a god in Australia now. I know they've immortalized the man in bronze in Melbourne, and I'm wondering, Fred, do you pilgrimage there? Sorry, would you like this as VCLT? It's a Canadian pressing. This is fucking terrible. This is oh, that horrible Canadian guy, David Foster, pop music. Like it's just that kind of stuff. And the only reason why this is in the inbox and not long gone to a charity table at a record show is it has this look of, I thought this was, you know, those new wave bands that broke up and the lead singer put out a really bad solo record. It has that kind of a look, which is why I kept it, because I thought, I'll listen to a really bad solo record by a new wave guy. This is not that. This is just pop-tacular. Nothing interesting in the Dead Wax. Next is an album that has been underwhelming me for 25 years. I'm not sure if this is my copy from high school. It's a gold stamp promo cut corner, or if this is a copy I got out of a collection. Pretty sure this is my copy from high school. It's in great condition. Just on the, it's got a custom inner on the incredibly ugly cream Warner CR in the Dead Wax, which means Sinram made it, which means it sounds like crap compared to, like, say, UK pressing of this. This has I Love a Man in Uniform. That's the big hit song, and Gang of Four were, I don't know. I've had this since it came out, and it's always underwhelmed me. And I never got rid of it because I kept all my high school records. And it's 25 years later, 30 years later, sorry, 30 years later, 1982 it came out in, 31 years later. It's still underwhelming. It's still underwhelming. Finally, the last record, and I cheated for this one. Flipping through the bin, the number for the record I was supposed to pull was a record by Superchunk. And I bought a collection of modern vinyl records from a friend of mine who was a dealer. He got somebody came in and sold him a bunch of stuff. And I got pick of it before it went on the floor. And I took basically everything but like 2 things. And in there was 4 Superchunk records. And I listened to one of them a couple of years ago and was incredibly, did not like that. And never listened to anything else from that batch of records, and I've heard songs from this record on the radio on Sirius XMU, and I've liked them. And I've heard Mike talk about this record, and when I pulled that super chunk out, I was like, oh god. And then I was like, well, something else, and it was still next to it, even though it's all been shuffled. But 2 records beyond that. Well, the next record was the first record, or the second record from Interpol, I think, and the next record was this, Turn on the Bright Lights, the first record from Interpol, and I believe this is Mike's favorite record. I could be totally wrong, but I know that Mike really likes this record. It's his favorite record of his when he, for a period, I don't know. He likes this record, and I wonder if this is an homage to Richard and Luna Thompson. Maybe, maybe not. It's on Matador. Comes with a printed custom inner sleeve and the vanity labels. It has SAE mastering in the dead wax, which is important. And when you put this record on a scale, it weighs 150 grams. And that denotes that it's a first pressing. The original first pressing of this record was 150 grams and had SAE mastering in the dead wax. Subsequent reissues of this record have weighed 120 grams, and another one's weighed 180 grams, and they've had different things in the dead wax, including, I think, sterling, and another one has had SAE, but it hasn't had the right weight. So that's kind of how you tell that. And I really enjoyed this. I mean, a couple songs I knew, the rest of it I didn't. It has that, it sounds like something I would have listened to in the 80s. It's like new wave. It's, I guess, oh sorry, I guess I'm supposed to call it post-punk, but it's like the new wave stuff I listened to back then. It has that feel, that kind of jaunty, slightly electronic, that kind of vibe to it. And it's really good. It's a record I actually want to listen to again. And that it doesn't happen that often with new music. So and it's nice to have a first pressing. It sounds pretty good. It's a little compressed and it's a little digital. Unfortunately, it'd be better if it wasn't, but it's actually excellent music. So ultimately that's what's always most important, is that the music is excellent. So I can see why this is one of your favorite records. I can see why on a Tuesday at some point in your life you like this a lot. I don't know if I got this totally wrong, that this is originally your favorite record, but that's what stuck in my head. So that's why I kind of cheated a little, because I knew it should be with this batch, and I thought, all right, I'll pull that out and listen to it. So Mike, I don't know if you have first of this. It's pretty good condition, a little bit of ring wear, but for a record that's, I think it's 20 years old, something like that, 10, 15, whatever the hell. That's a good record. I can highly recommend Turn on the Bright Lights. And like I said, this has been underwhelming me forever. I listened to the whole fucking thing. Thanks, Mike. Ronnie Hawkins. He's great. It's just not my thing. And Pink Floyd's Wall. Now, I got a Wall story. You can all go if you want. This isn't my copy of The Wall, but I bought my copy of The Wall the week it came out. I was in grade 8. I bought it with a friend of mine. Good Catholic boys. Finished class one day, walked 3 miles or 2 miles down the road to Zounds in Scarborough to get ourselves The Wall. And I bought a copy and he bought a copy. And I brought my copy home and I opened it up and I listened to it and I loved it. And he brought his copy home and he listened to it and he loved it. And then his mother came home. And then later that evening, my mother got a call on the phone. And it was his mother freaking out. Have you seen this record the boys have brought home? This pornography? This? And she was just totally disgusted with this bum image here on the inside cover, and she thought it was pornography, and she took the record away from him. And my mom was like, I haven't seen it. I will go and look at it. And my mom, you know, she came down to my room and she says, what's this record you've bought? I've just got this call about it. And I'm like, it's The Wall. And my mom was a teacher, and so was my friend's mom, and Catholic school teachers. And I thought there was going to be some sort of weird situation with the "We Don't Need No Education" song, but my mom's like, let me see it. She opens it up and she goes, it's a drawing of a bum. She gave it back to me and she walked away. My friend's mom took it from him, and I think he was 18 when he got it back. So like 6 years later, he wasn't allowed to listen to that record for like 6 years. And my friend, the poor bastard, his mom used to listen to all of his records and read all of the lyrics. She was a nun who had left the convent to marry a priest who had left the priesthood. And so that's my Wall story, and I'm sticking to it. Bobby, that is a Jap pressing of Close to the Edge, and stop looking down there, because while that is not your prize is there, so stop looking. Have a great day, everybody. Keep the records coming.